Is coming up during the conversation this morning. Fox Business Network's Dagan McDowell, GOP strategist John Thomas, and CFRA investment strategist Lindsay Bell. Great to see everybody this morning.
Good to be here.
Yeah, I was looking at this Huawei story, and for Huawei to say that it is being bullied, to look back in the last, I don't know, how many decades, 2, 3, 4 decades of China stealing intellectual property and Huawei getting sued by the likes of T-Mobile, Cisco, Motorola, Intel, Microsoft, all these companies suing them for stealing trade secrets, and they settled, but they're the ones getting bullied?
Right.
I find that rich.
It's a total pot meat kettle situation, and I'm glad that the Trump administration is doing something. What I didn't realize prior to this whole story coming out was the depth to what they control in the smartphone market. I mean, they sell more smartphones than Apple. These people are huge, and it's good to see companies like Google and others stepping up against Huawei.
Yeah. And basically inserting this technology into country after country after country, essentially not just to steal from our greatest companies, but also to spy on the United States and other nations, our allies, which is the point that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made to you when he was here, what was it, in February?
Yeah, and which is one of the reasons I've been making the point, this fight with China is so much bigger than just trade and tariffs. This is about national security. This is about China and its behavior, taking that behavior across the world. You know, they are rounding up Muslims right now in China. They are rounding up Uyghurs, they're called, and basically they are putting them in what they're calling re-education camps because they want to make sure that they understand the Chinese culture. But wait, there's more. They're re-education camps, but they're being guarded by military with machine guns.
And can you imagine how difficult it is to negotiate with the Chinese, whether it's on trade or anything else? Because, again, they'll say one thing and then do another. And I point to the quote from the head of Huawei about these exemptions on the exemptions to the blacklist. There was a Chinese state broadcast interview that the CEO of Huawei did, and he was like, this isn't a very big deal. We've already made preparations, but we thank American companies very much. That's the translation. So it makes you roll your eyes a little.
Yeah, it's true. And you mentioned a really important story earlier about the drones and how there are a large majority of drones in this country being produced by a Chinese company, meaning that some of the data, all of the data, goes back to the motherland.
This is a huge liability for Joe Biden if he's the nominee, as this story only heats up because he's perceived to be very soft on China.
He said China was not our competition. There's also a story out there that Peter Schweitzer reported that his son Biden, Hunter Biden, traveled on Air Force One with the vice president, Air Force Two rather, with the vice president, and when he came back, he got $1.5 billion from a Chinese company into his private equity firm.
I mean, what China's doing makes what Russia did look like child's play in terms of stealing intellectual property and meddling in the U.S.
That's right. We're going to keep talking about that because this is a big story and there are real national security implications. The president talked about this last night. He also touted the strong U.S. economy and trade tensions at a rally in Pennsylvania. Blake Berman with the latest. He's at the White House this morning. Blake, good morning to you.
Maria, good morning to you as well. And the most recent polling in that crucial swing state of Pennsylvania shows that President Trump trails a handful of potential Democratic candidates, including Joe Biden, down as many as 11 points. Well, 2 days after Biden campaigned in Pennsylvania, President Trump went there as well to hold a campaign rally of his own. In Pennsylvania last night, the president continued to tout the economy, saying the U.S. has the hottest economy anywhere in the world. In that state, the president also defended two of his more closely watched and debated economic policies, imposing steel tariffs and trying to strike a trade deal with China.
Now we are finally responding to years of chronic trade abuses by defending our workers with tariffs and anything else that's necessary, because nobody's going to steal our businesses, and anyone who doesn't want to pay the tariffs has a simple solution. Build your product in America, bring your factories back to Pennsylvania.
Meantime, back here in Washington, the Commerce Department announced yesterday that it would be providing some temporary exemptions to an export ban that targets the Chinese telecommunications giant Huawei. The Commerce